Welcome to Midnight Archives, where fear is only the beginning.
Have you ever heard screaming from beneath the earth?
Not the sound of rocks splitting, not the rumble of tectonic plates. No, I'm talking about voices. Human voices, begging, crying, trapped forever under layers of soil and stone. I used to think earthquakes were just natural disasters, until I experienced one that was anything but natural. My name is Chris. I'm a structural engineer from California, born and raised. Earthquakes are part of our life here. We build for them, drill for them, expect them. But what happened in a small mountain town last spring? No training, no science, no emergency protocol could have prepared me for that. I was assigned to assess an old church in a remote village up north after a minor quake shook the area. The quake was only a 4.2, nothing major, but residents reported structural damage. It was an old, forgotten town, no cell service. I had to drive for miles on cracked dirt roads to get there. The place had this heavy silence, like the whole town had stopped breathing. When I arrived, the townsfolk were cold, almost afraid. They kept staring at the church like it was alive. When I asked about the damage, an old woman whispered, "It ain't the cracks you should worry about. It's what came up after." The church sat on a small hill, half sunken into the earth. The quake had opened a large fissure right beneath the altar. As I stepped inside, I felt it immediately, an unnatural coldness. I chalked it up to elevation and the stone walls, but then I heard it, a soft tapping coming from under the floorboards, like someone knocking, rhythmically. I thought maybe an animal had fallen into the crack. So I opened the trapdoor behind the pulpit and descended into the crawl space. That's when I saw it, an old well, covered in dust, but not debris, almost like something had used it recently. I looked inside the well. It went deeper than it should have, far beyond the church's foundation. And from inside, I heard it again, whispering. Not one voice, several, layered on top of each other, murmuring, in a language I didn't understand. Against every ounce of logic, I dropped a flashlight down the shaft. It didn't hit the bottom. The light just faded into darkness. Then, the voices stopped. Suddenly I felt the ground shake. A second tremor. Only this time the shaking didn't come from around me. It came from beneath me, like something was crawling up. I backed away, but not fast enough. A hand, grey, brittle, decayed, reached out from the well and grabbed my ankle. I kicked and scrambled, breaking free. When I looked again, the hand was gone. But on my boot was a smear of black, sticky mud that reeked of rot. I rushed out of the church, terrified. The old woman was waiting. She just shook her head and said, "You looked, didn't you? You heard them. You let them know you're listening." Turns out that well was sealed decades ago, after the 1962 quake, when a dozen children vanished without a trace. The town had built the church on top of the well to keep something sealed, or someone. Ever since then, every small tremor wasn't just a quake, it was a signal, and the more people looked, the more they listened, the more it opened. I left that town within the hour. But I never truly escaped. Now every time there's a quake, no matter how small, I hear tapping beneath my feet. I hear whispers when the ground shifts. They followed me. Sometimes at night I wake up sweating, and the floor of my apartment is vibrating. Only my room, only for seconds. And in those moments, I hear screaming, not of the living, but of those buried alive, waiting to be remembered.
Next time the ground shakes, don't just listen to the rumble. Listen for the voices, because when the earth speaks, it may not be Mother Nature calling. It might be something far older and far less forgiving.